Futsal community, the Doctor in the Car here. Welcome to your Futsal Australia podcast number 28. A couple months ago, the Futsal community was caught by surprise with a huge announcement: the expansion of Western United into futsal by buying a Victorian elite futsal club, the Western Wolves, to compete in the series Futsal Victoria. And to talk about this huge announcement for Futsal Australia, every podcast we have a special guest. But today, I don't think we can go any bigger than this one. Is Chris Pehlivanis. Apologies for the pronunciation.
No, you did well. You did well.
CEO of Western United Group. Chris, it's an honor to have you here, and welcome to your Futsal Australia podcast.
Thank you for having me on, and it's a pleasure to talk to you and share the journey we're on, and for someone so passionate about the game of futsal.
I am passionate about futsal, but we have a very passionate futsal community in Australia, a very tight community. You are the first A-League club coming to that space after many years. So we had a Melbourne Hearts back in the days. They played a couple of national leagues under Melbourne Hearts. It didn't work that well at that time. The National League wasn't a very good moment. It was a good moment for the Melbourne Hearts. But anyway, you're the first one. Chris, before we get into the topic of you guys coming to futsal, can you share with us a bit of a background and how you became involved in being the CEO for Western United?
Yeah, so I've always grown up playing football. I've always been involved in sport. About 15 years ago, I joined the Football Australia, at that time called the FFA, as a finance manager there, and I spent 3-4 years in Sydney. Came back to Melbourne, set myself up in an AFL club and Essendon Football Club, and was CFO there. And then when I heard about the project Western United and what it had to deliver and what it was planning to do in the community, build its first stadium, set up in the western region of Victoria, which is a really rich area for football and an expanding area and new communities, new migrants, and something that I was passionate about because as a young kid, football gave me my best memories, gave me my best friends, gave me my best communities to be involved in. So I really wanted to do that something special in the western region of Victoria. And we embarked on this journey, and I'm here now 4 years later. Obviously won a championship in the A-League men's, started our women's program, launched our MPL Academy programs, and now we've taken the leap forward into futsal, which I think we'll touch on shortly, but is also very exciting for us. And I just want to say to the futsal community how impressed I've been, A, with the professionalism, B, with the standard and where it's heading. I think is credit to everyone involved.
And looking back at those 4 years, what were some of course, the Premiership in 2022 would have been your most memorable moment, but some of the highlights of those 4 years?
Yeah, there's been a lot, and it's a good question. I know the championship obviously stands out, but even just some of the things we've done on the journey, like launching an A-League women's team, being able to launch MPL academies and being there on their first time when all these kids walked into the club and you saw giving their jumpers for the first time and the smiles on their faces, and then seeing these kids compete regularly, both boys and girls. I think there's a lot of special moments, even for the staff to create an environment, the culture we've created. I think that's been pretty exciting. It's a real family environment. It's everyone at the club really believes they belong, and I think that's what I'm most proud about.
You have your own facility. When is the own facility going to be ready?
Yeah, so our training facility, which will be 3 pitches, will be ready later this year. October, November this year. Look, depending on weather and construction, but October, November is what we're being told. And that's our first step in our transition to Tarneit. So we'll move there. And then the stadium will be ready another 2-3 years later after that in terms of the main stadium. But it's a big move, some big steps being taken by the club. This off-season will be one of the bigger moves we've made.
And will there be also a futsal, basketball, multi-sports stadium as well?
Yeah, so the wider precinct, there is earmarked to have a futsal centre there, and hopefully we can base Western United out of there for training, for academies, and then we'll touch on this, but I can even touch on it now. We have a desire to expand futsal right through men's and women's, right through from under the age of 7s all the way to seniors, and so yes, a facility, and then obviously to play in the elite competitions around Victoria would be our vision.
I have a few questions very soon when it comes to junior futsal leading to football, but let's hold on to those questions for later
Yes,
on.
no problem.
When we talk about the goals of the Western United group, what would be the goals of the organization?
Yeah, so our vision is to unite the community through football, futsal, and every sport we embark, and so that's our vision. Our goal is to get every kid in the West to be involved with football, support Western United, be a fan of Western United, and for a lot of families to even be part of the family and part of the journey in terms of playing. That's our goal, and hopefully we can create a lot of great memories and a sense of belonging, so everyone feels that our club is something that is a exciting place to be and a safe place to be, and something that everyone can grow together with.
That's good to hear, because that's what this thing of belonging. It's my background is Brazilian. I moved to Australia, and I never got to feel a part of an A-League club because there was no sense of belonging for me. But the kids that live in the Western, it's very easy for them to belong to you guys.
Yeah, look, the sense of belonging is something that I believe, that's something that I'm passionate about. If you ask me what's the DNA of the club is, it doesn't matter where you're from. You can be from Brazil, you can be from Europe, you can be from any other country in the world. It doesn't really matter if you're from the Western region of Victoria or not. We need to create that sense of belonging. And the only way you do that is if you create an environment and welcomes everyone. Because once you come and be part of our club and experience it, I promise everyone will have such a good experience that they will feel they belong. Now, not every kid or not every person that involves is going to end up being the next Australian superstar. But what we have to embark on is making sure the experience is elite. And with that, they have an opportunity to be the best versions of themselves. And that's what I push everyone that's involved in West United to focus on.
It's a great vision. Chris, moving into futsal now, could you share with us how this decision to expand into futsal came about, and what led you guys to make that move?
Pretty easy. You want to be a club that represents and gives everyone an opportunity to belong. You need to broaden your just out of one code. At the end of the day, we were only football, and to be honest, at the start, we were only an A-League men's team. So the natural evolution for us was to expand into different aspects of futsal, football, maybe other codes one day. But the evolution to futsal was pretty easy. When we met Peter Parthamos, what he does out there, the competition, the structure was something that was elite and quite impressive. And so then our decision to be part of this was easier than expected. And look, we've had a soft launch of it. We've got involved. Major thing we did was we appointed an experienced coach and someone who can build this club. At the moment, it was always going to be challenging because it was done. We entered the competition 4 or 5 weeks after everyone, which meant a lot of players were already committed. And to be honest, that's okay with us. And if our goal is to make sure the team stays up. But if it doesn't, we'll invest and we'll bring the team back up with a lot of youth, a lot of exciting players, and with the view to have a sustainable futsal team that is very competitive. But our vision is to obviously expand into youth futsal and then obviously into women's futsal as well at the same time, and boys and girls futsal. So that will all happen and it'll take time. And we just want to baby steps, because the key things with these expansions is, we can do it tomorrow, but if it's not a good experience, then it's no point doing it. So our main focus is initially to stabilize the series futsal team and build a sustainable model around that, and then slowly over the next couple of years to expand into other aspects of futsal.
Yeah, you mentioned that Guy Costa had a hard task to build a team during the season. So the season had already started. He had to build a team from scratch. Most of the Western Wolves players had already left the club, and he's done a good job. He's got a couple wins, but he's sitting 5 points behind the second last position. So it looks like it could go down. The goal was to stay up. You might not stay up, but what will be the goals of this club, as in a short-term and a long-term goals for this futsal team?
Yeah, I mean, the results haven't gone our way, and that by no means identifies the way Guy's performed. Guy's an absolutely sensational coach who is a teacher of futsal, who is teaching the team the right principles, and will longer term be a very successful club coach for our club. And success will come, but success is not just wins and losses. So for us, it's building a sustainable program, and so the goals longer term will be to bring a lot of youth through the team, and then building a team that can challenge for the top spots of serious futsal over the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And look at the finance behind of this futsal team. How this team be funded? Would that be through sponsorships or even a futsal academy? You mentioned about being a sustainable team.
Yeah, no, definitely both of those things. I think sponsorship that we can bring in from a centralized model of the club will be one of the aspects in the short term, but longer term, yeah. I think the academy and the facilities we're building out west is something that I think we will help fund this team, and I think that's the most important thing. It needs to be sustainable, but it needs to be done in a manner that we want to bring in the best coaches. I'm not going to make an excuse by that. We want to have the best talented kids in the west striving to play for this team, and ultimately developing the best talent in Australia. That's our goal. But it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight.
It'll take time. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed between football and futsal in Australia is not as much as before, but about 5-10 years ago, you would say, my kid plays futsal, and then some soccer coaches would say, that's not good for your kid to play futsal and football at the same time. Let's suppose this futsal program becomes successful for you guys. Would there be an integration between the futsal and the football department?
100% was our vision, was to integrate it from day one. And I think you'll find is that was one of our decision-making processes, was to identify talent both in futsal and football that can be used in both the pathways. The reality is, around the world, if you have a look at the model, some elite futsal players end up being elite outdoor players and vice versa. So I think if you don't have that vision, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And personally, I think people need to be aware of what futsal really is. And until you go watch it, until you go to experience it, until you play in it, I think people don't have a real sense of reality what it is. Some of the most technical players come out of futsal, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, they haven't seen futsal, but they have seen the products of futsal, right? The Neymars,
Correct.
the Messis, etc.
They have, but they don't realize that, Andrew. So the reality for me is when they realize that, then they go, oh, really? And then so I think some people, it's a bit of an education process.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the growth of futsal that can come in the future. Yeah, and it's going to need people like us to work with, the administrators of the game to help show that, because the more people like us, and it'd be good if the other teams in the A-League get involved. Why not? Let's put that challenge out there. One day, maybe they'll all get involved. But the reality is, the more elite pathways we can provide, the better both futsal and outdoor football will be.
Yeah, the futsal community, we need to make sure this is successful.
Yes.
A club like many clubs in Brazil, like Santos, they do futsal until the age of 12. And just at 12, they have those 2-4 years, transitional years that they do both. And they transition to football.
Yes.
Do you think that could be something in the future, that you guys have a futsal program for the little kids, and then kids after grow older move into football?
Yeah, I think yes. The answer to that is our vision. I think we can learn from teams like Santos. I think we can learn from the pathways of Brazil, because they're the best at it in terms of creating those pathways. The reality, though, is some kids won't want to go to outdoor, so we should still then make sure that we still have a pathway all the way to the seniors team, that some people just stay in futsal. That's fine with us as well. It doesn't mean they have to exit and go to outdoor, but for some kids that want to pursue that, I think there'll be a natural transition into our MPL academy teams, and then hopefully into our first teams.
Chris, you mentioned about all the A-League clubs getting involved. Look at futsal into the larger landscape of soccer in Australia. The last National League was in 2016. The winners used to go to the AFC. And there's talks that the National League will come back this year in the second semester of the year, with the winners going to AFC again. Is that something that makes you excited to have Western United playing the AFC in futsal?
I think that dream, everyone involved in the game should be excited. That's something we should all be excited for, because at that point, giving players and coaches and everyone involved, fans, the opportunity to be in the Intercontinental Stage and potentially in the World Stage is something that we should all be proud of. And what happens is the better and more competitive games we have against regional teams and higher standards, it just means it lifts the standard. So I'm all for lifting the standard and creating better quality opposition and also lifting the standard here locally. I think that's why we're all involved in this.
It's great to hear. We hope all the A-League clubs follow you guys' footsteps. Chris, this was just a first very chat just to get to know you and the whole community to get to know you. It's been awesome because I can see your passion in your eyes, and I'm sure the whole community will support you in this journey.
Yeah, I hope so. And look, we're still learning, so we don't have all the answers. And I'm as I said earlier, I think I'm very impressed by the standard and very impressed by where futsal is going. And hopefully we can play a role in that going forward. And hopefully we add some value. And that's why we got involved. And look, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of people around helping. And Guy's done a fantastic job. Ernie Simsek's done a fantastic job in the initial stages, and Harry Manaris, and just to put this together because it's not easy. And a big shout out should go to those people initially, but all the squad, they commit, they're training, they're playing, and I'm thankful. And you know what? It's a big learning experience, and maybe the results haven't been there yet, but they will come. I promise you.
It's very exciting. You're getting me excited, and the best thing that you're getting me excited is this football and futsal working together. Because for many years, I used to hear coach saying that futsal was not good, but we have changed that mentality, and you just came to prove them wrong.
And you guys should take a lot of credit for that, because the community that's already been, because you've done a lot of the hard work to show people that there is a genuine pathway and there is a genuine community out there that will produce elite talent. It's just about us nurturing it and making sure we have the right pathways.
Very, very exciting, Chris. Lastly, what message would you like to send to Western United fans and supporters regarding this expansion to futsal?
Yeah, I think firstly to Western United fans, I think it's a good opportunity. If you haven't come to watch these games, get out there, support the club, support the game, because when you go out there, it's not just Western United. You'll see two or three, and some of the some of the teams that are higher up the ladder, get a chance to watch some of those teams. The standard is elite, and it's very exciting. To all the futsal fans, I think I hope we get their support. I hope both in futsal and outdoor, and I hope they see this as a real positive initiative, and so hopefully they all get behind us and make it as easy as possible for us to be successful. Now, I don't mean on the pitch. I mean on the pitch, everyone's got their teams and they want their teams to win. So I understand that. But I think for me, it's making this transition and welcoming us and hopefully the pathway so we can do something special that has that integration and shows that, there is a pathway especially for a lot of the kids to play both futsal and outdoor football. And then at the end of the day, if we can create some elite talented kids that we see on the world stage, I think everyone in the community should be proud of that.
We'll be supporting you. I'm sure we're going to be right behind you, Chris. I wish you best of luck. I wish you Western United best of luck. The Australian community has been through a lot. We have been through a lot, and we are very open-minded to support good causes. And I'm sure everyone will be supporting you guys from this moment on. And we're just waiting to hear from you.
No problem. Thank you. And really thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to, going on this journey together and, being on this podcast again any other time you want me here.
Can't wait, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. On behalf of the whole committee, we wish you all the best. I'm sure the club has gained many supporters already. And thanks everyone for listening to your Futsal Australia podcast. Together we can make a beautiful game bigger in your country. And stay tuned for our next